Hey everyone, it's Karen. I'm doing the mid-month book bash, which is led by Doris at Aldi Books. And I just wanted to show you what I've read so far because I totally added cheats on top of the built-in cheats that Doris already added in. This is my long weekend. We have a 4-day weekend for midwinter break, and so I'm just like fully ready to embrace this challenge, and that's exactly why I added in more cheats. So the first book I want to talk about, I actually read before this challenge started, even with my built-in cheats, but it is so good and I just wanted a place to talk about it. It is called My Friend Dahmer, and it is basically about this kid who wasn't really close friends with Dahmer, but he went to school with him, and he's just trying to kind of communicate what Jeffrey Dahmer was like as a high school student mostly, and just his experience of being near him as a friend-ish, acquaintance more, I guess I would say, and it's a graphic novel, so it is super cool to read. And what I really like about this is that it covers more of like how he came to be the person that he became and did the acts that he did without focusing on the actual murders. It's more of how did he become this way. So I thought this was really, really interesting. The next book that I read is also a graphic novel, and I seem to have a thing for non-fiction graphic novels. This one is called Kid Gloves, and it's by Lucy Kinsley. Anyway, it is about her journey to having a baby, basically, and so it starts with there's a lot of health education in here. She starts off when she's a teenager and how there's such a focus on avoiding pregnancy, and then all of a sudden you are married and you're ready to have a kid, and then it's like, wait, this is not as easy as they kind of made it out to be in sex ed. But yeah, it's really, really cool graphic novel. And then of course, obviously she does get pregnant, and it's just her whole experience with being pregnant. One thing I love the most about this, and I don't know if I can quickly find the page, but she talks about how she was obsessed with babies as a kid, and me too. And I just thought that I was just a quirky kid who was super into I was super interested in people around me who were pregnant and babies, and I played dolls all the time and stuff. And I don't think I can find it, but there's one picture where she's like, no, this was part of our culture. She talked about all these movies that came out in the 90s that focused on people having babies, or Junior, where Arnold Schwarzenegger had a baby, and so she said it was part of our culture. And I'm like, okay, I'm still really quirky and was as a kid, but not as much apparently. I really, really enjoyed this. Then the next book is not a graphic novel. By the way, Kid Gloves I read officially on during mid-month book bash because I extended it to Wednesday night because I had a massage, and then I was gonna go to yin yoga, but I ended up just staying home. But anyway, I just had a cozy reading night in, and it was my Friday Eve because Thursday was my last day of work for the week. Anyway, cheats on top of cheats. But I officially started it Wednesday night, and I read Kid Gloves that night. So now we're into the official, my version of the official. I also read on Thursday. Wait, I'm so confused what day I read these. I think I read this Wednesday. I Contain Multitudes by Ed Yong. This was recommended to me by Heidi. I'll link her below, but she talked about it, and I was like, oh, I need this book in my life. Basically, it is on how microbes have such an impact on us in our lives, but also on the animal kingdom. And I've read a lot about this because I'm really interested in this, and some of the facts were similar to ones I've heard before. One of the most interesting things to me is that I read it in another book too. In this book, they only talked about it with mice, but I feel like another book they did it with humans, maybe not. But basically they had these germ-free mice that were born in this environment where they were never exposed to any microbes. And then they did like kind of enema made of the poop of another mouse, and they were either given basically an enema with a chubby fluffy mouse's poo in it, or one with a skinny mouse, you know. And they noticed that the germ-free mice that got the more obese person's poo in their body kind of took on their microbes and became chubbier and fluffier, whereas the other one that was from like a lean or healthy mouse or whatever, they took on their kind of microbes, and they were at a healthy weight. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And another book I read, which I can't remember, was talking about your gut buddies, and it was talking about how what you eat should not be mostly about taste and stuff, but you should be thinking about what kind of gut buddies that you want to be growing and which ones you want to kind of, hey Lyra, that you want to be kind of diminishing. So that was really interesting. This one talked about animals and stuff like that too, and it introduced me to an animal I've never heard of before, which is called a pangolin. That's what it looks like. I think it is so cute. Yeah, anyway, I should have taken notes, but I thought this book was really fun to read. I love science books like this. Then I read another book that again was also similar to other books that I've read. It is called The Nocturnal Brain by Guy Leshner, and I just finished this one last night. It is basically about sleep, and I feel like I already know a lot about sleep. I did a sleep lab when I was in high school for AP Psychology. We got so interested in learning about sleep that we had a sleepover at a friend's house. This is like nerd alert major. And we like set timers and like woke her sister up at certain parts of the night and like did stuff to my friend's sister. Amelia must have a toy. That's like her I have a toy I want to play sound. Anyway, and we would see like if we like did certain things to her, if she would incorporate what we did into her dreams and all this stuff. So I've been interested in sleep and dreams and all that sort of stuff probably since senior year of high school. And so I've read a lot of books. Matthew Walker has a really good one out, but anyway, this one really said a lot of stuff I already knew, but it was really interesting because I feel like it was more about stories. And so it was more about all these bizarre medical things that are happening to people and like how they are related to sleep disorders and stuff. One of the things I hadn't heard of before was I had heard of narcolepsy before. I forgot what the other one is called, like it starts with a C, but it's basically when you have too high of an emotion, like either you're laughing or you're really upset about something, and all of a sudden you like slump over and go to sleep. I found that really interesting because there was this guy in here who he could laugh at others, but when he would crack a joke himself that he thought was like the funniest thing ever, he would just slump over. Like he would lose like control of his muscles, and it was like a slow like kind of slump to the floor. And there was a lot of other interesting stories in here of like people who would do stuff during their sleep and like do it well. Like you hear about all these accidents where people fall asleep when they're driving and they get into accidents. These are people who can legit sleep and drive and they're going to be fine. Like they're not going to cause an accident. And one of the things I heard about in another book was that like dolphins, and I think whales too, they sleep with half their brain, and then their other brain like keeps them swimming and keeps them not from drowning and all this stuff. And then they'll switch and the other brain will go to sleep and the other brain will keep them alive. And I've always heard like, oh, that's not true. You can't do that with humans. However, I have heard that your first stay in a hotel, like out for me anyway, it's really hard to sleep the first night in a place. And that is because your brain is kind of more aware of your surroundings and trying to keep you safe. And this book was talking about these people who can drive and do things just fine when they're completely asleep. And it was saying that their brain is also not all the way asleep, that we can't do half and half like a dolphin can, but we can have certain areas of our brain that are asleep and certain areas that are not asleep. and so it might look like you're sleeping, but you are aware enough to drive a car and stuff like that. And one of the other things that I found super interesting was this kid who had this basically sleep disorder where, like, okay, maybe tonight he's tired at 10 p.m., okay, and he goes and has a good night's sleep. The next evening, he won't be tired until 11 p.m., so then he'll go and have a good night's sleep, and it keeps adjusting by 1 hour every single day. So there's parts of the month where he is like basically like a third shift sort of a person, where he is sleeping during the day and awake at night, and then there's other times of the month where he's like awake during the times that people are typically awake during the day. And it just described how horrible that was for him, because if he is just like living life doing whatever, it would be fine for him to sleep at different times all the time. But he's a student and there's no like third shift school or, you know, whatever, unless you go to school online, which could have been a good option for him. But it's just like he was getting in trouble in class for not being able to stay awake and not being like really alert. But it was essentially the same as like if you would ask someone to wake up and go to school at like 2 a.m. Like his body was just off, and not even consistently off, so a consistent plan could be made for him. So that was super interesting. So if you like just weird medical stories, this would be a super good one for you. So today is my day off. I'm gonna go to yoga. I have yoga at 9:30, so like in an hour. And I might pick up some groceries, come home. Later this afternoon I have an MRI because I have one once a year. And then I'll just chill and celebrate that it is the long weekend. At some point this weekend, I want to take myself to a restaurant or a coffee shop and have vegan food in person and read a book. I don't know where. There's a coffee shop by my house I might go to tomorrow that has really good vegan food. Or there's this place I used to love going after church on Sundays, which is in Grand Haven. And it's like kind of a food court for adults where they have like a brewery, they have a vegan like barbecue sort of place, and then they have a coffee shop. And I love their vegan nachos that they have there. So I don't know, we'll see. But I am pretty much fully immune now to COVID. They say it takes like 7 to 14 days, and I'm at 7 days now. So, you know, it's going to be amazing. And I'm just so excited to like be able to do stuff with my life. Like I feel like maybe you guys don't know me and think I only read books, because that's really all I did during COVID. I do have other interests and enjoy other things, particularly yoga is a huge interest of mine. So I hope that I will be able to do vlogs in the future maybe, and you'll be able to see more of my interests besides just reading books. But I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll make another video maybe after another day or two of the mid-month book bash, and I will talk to you later. Bye.